Okay, we are trading live again, and I've stocked up my account one more time, and I'm going to be making as much money as I can in the next 2 weeks, hopefully 1 week at least, and trying to build back up my account with what I can make, and then I'm going to take that money back out again. Figured that was the safest way to handle the situation. And I'd also like to go back really soon and just analyze the trades where I went wrong and lost the money in February and March. I haven't done that yet, but just a little bit of thought on that. I think some of the changes I've made, I was trading on my phone and my phone was not allowing me to do, well, okay, it would allow me to put in an OCO order, but it would just be really tedious to put it in. And when you're trading, sometimes you need to act very quickly and get trades put in a lot quicker than what I was able to do. So I wasn't using stops. And so that was one of the reasons I lost a lot of money. Another one was just a lot of the tariff information that was coming out in the news, I think was making the market do crazy stuff. And so I didn't always predict those correctly, which is not abnormal. I mean, that does happen. So that's why you want the stops in place. And so because I didn't have my stops in place, I would lose great deals of money in a very short period of time because the market would move very quickly in the wrong direction. So those were a couple of reasons that I thought of that were not helping me. So in the meantime, we've gotten a better system. I'm working on the computer now and got a better Wi-Fi connection. And I'm hoping that this trading session will be a lot different. I've also found a better community online, on YouTube actually, of traders. And I'm just listening to them. I feel like my experiences have been pretty normal, and it is possible to trade. So that's given me a lot of hope. So I'll put links down below if I can figure that out to show you which ones I've especially been interested in watching. So anyway, and not all of them trade like I do, which is fine. And they all say, you got to pick the trading style that works for you the best. So anyway, all right, let's get into analyzing this morning. Alrighty, so we can see on the 4-hour chart, we're still well within that channel right through here. And it looks to me like the MACD is dropping. So I would not be at all surprised if it drops through to the bottom of the channel still. And we're going to go ahead and put in, I should have done this before. In fact, I might even just stop the video. I'm going to put in all of my my price lines to match up with what I see on the 4-hour and the 1-hour. The 4-hour chart will have the dotted lines and the 1-hour chart will have the solid. Okay, got all my lines in, and you can see that there's a huge cluster of them that are very close together right up through here. And in the meantime, we are in an upward zigzag pattern, kind of recovering from that big loss overnight. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on this chart here. So we have potential of it dropping down to maybe this level here at some point. Generally speaking, we're uptrending, but we're on a down leg of the uptrend. And as we know, that makes it really choppy and difficult trading. So we want to be extra careful. I could see right here that it hit the SMA, that would be the orange SMA on the 4-hour chart actually, and that acted as a resistance level. So if we zoom in a little bit more even, we can maybe see that clearer. So yeah, so it looks like it dropped through that point and then it's come up and it's hit this SMA here. And you can see the red one above it. Let's see, what is that red one? Okay, so that's the 9 SMA. I actually have the 9 one on there. I'd forgotten about that. So It's actually kind of helpful on this one. It's looking like it's turning and it's going to be dropping, but it hasn't actually crossed the the 20 SMA yet. So we, of course, want to be cautious with that information and think that, yeah, it's probably going to be dropping, but it's going to be going in these zigzag legs. All right, on the 1 hour chart, we can see the MACD looks really good for it going up. So again, we can kind of see, you can see a bigger pattern of zigzags here. Let's look at the RSIs as well. The one on the 4 hour chart, you can kind of see it's losing a little bit of momentum, but it's not real strong yet. On the 20-day 1 hour chart here, let's see. It's pretty much straight across here. This one actually is a little bit higher, so it actually matches what we see here pretty well. So that's not super helpful either. The only thing that makes us think maybe we're going to get up a little bit further is the MACD here. All right, so down, up, let's see, it's kind of conflicting. Not surprising. I'm going to go look at the smaller term charts here that we actually kind of make our trades on. And MACD looks like it's been going up, but it's just starting now to probably lose a little bit of momentum on the 15-minute chart. You can see this is the opening on Sunday, and it just dropped, and it's been kind of zigzagging down. It does seem to have hit a bottom right through here. So let's go ahead and put in a price line right through there. We're going to make that purple or something that we haven't used yet. And that will be the point where it probably won't, it'll not want to break through that point. And we're looking at the opening bell here in about 45 minutes. So it's going to probably move fairly slowly in the meantime, which is kind of nice. All right, and then on the 5-minute chart, it looks like it's heading up. So I would say it's probably going to get up, but you can see it's probably going to hit some resistance at this dotted line or just below it. And if you look, that dotted line, 59.17, oh my, that is not matching up with what we're seeing over here. Something's weird here. Why is, okay, you know what? I think we're zoomed way in. Zoom in here. We're zoomed way out. There we go. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was wondering about that. Okay, so I just had this zoomed way out. And let's see what kind of trades we have set up here. We have a $200 scalp. That's pretty tight. We have a 1-to-3 ratio, and that's also really tight. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of these, and I'm going to set them up the way I have been trading lately. Okay, I've got my 5 and 10 point trade set up here. So that means that I have a 5-point stop and a 10-point gain. And if I throw that in there, it's going to be really spread out. And I'll show you here. I'll just place an order where it's not going to get filled. So let's say we're going to get into a long down here. You can see that that would be a pretty big movement. And then I can adjust it, fine tune it out on these charts up here. So I'm happy with that. And if I hit my stop, that would be a $250 loss in one trade, and the gain would be about 500. So that's doable. I'm looking at 2% every day, and 2% of this particular account would be about $625. So that one trade would just about get me there. And that's what we're looking at. All right, so I was still kind of waiting for a turn, and I nearly jumped in right through here because it looked like it had started to drop. It hadn't reached the point where I thought it would bounce off of, where it would hit that ceiling, and it's actually right there, pretty close to right now. So I'm glad I waited because it did end up going a little bit further up. And again, since we're trading against the trend, generally, we want to make sure that we do see a drop coming, that we're not jumping into the wrong side of a trade too quickly. So looking for it any moment. See if we can figure out when that will be. Okay, this is really tempting right now because it actually hit a resistance level right through there. But one candle is not enough to convince me that that's where it's going. If it breaks through this SMA right here, that'll be a pretty sure sign. All right, that looks pretty good, but it hasn't quite broken through. All right, that looks really good. All right, placed my order. And there we go. All right, first real trade in quite some time. Let's bring this up to here. That's probably a better place to go. And see if I made a good call. I like where the stop is, even though it's really high up there, because it's above the dotted line and the last peak. And it's above it by a point, which isn't a lot. Actually, yeah, maybe I'll raise it up one more point. Be a wick that shoots up there and then doesn't go anywhere. I don't really want to get stopped out there. You can see how it dropped through and then immediately bounced back up. Let me zoom in just a little bit more so you can see that. The wick rejected it, and I would say it hasn't really gone above that last peak right there. That was at 59.18 right through here. So if it goes up too much above that, that will be kind of worrisome. Go ahead and put in an alert here. The alerts actually seem to be they seem to hit sometimes before the candles actually develop. So that would be a good thing to know. All right. I'll come back and revisit this when something happens. Okay, it's looking pretty good. MACD here on the 1 minute chart has just touched and just about to cross. And we've had another red candle that's kind of broken through that red SMA, which is actually the 9 SMA. So it's a new one for me. We've hit a resistance level here on the 5 minute chart and looking like it's not wanting to go through. And that's actually starting to possibly turn down as well. It's a little tenuous. if it does, this RSI point will be lower than this one, which is good. And on the 15-minute chart, you can see that it's struggling to get above that yellow SMA. And so it's possible, but a little bit premature, that it would drop a good long ways yet. I think we're still in this upwards zigzag pattern for a little bit longer, maybe. Where it bounces, the low point that it develops after this will be pretty big in telling us what the next move is going to be as well. So those are my thoughts. Okay, it's really showing signs of dropping now. See a lot of red candles on all the charts here, and I think according to the 15-minute chart, we've just begun. So it's just these two charts here that are looking really good. I really like where my limit order is still. It's just above the lowest point that it made over here, and that's sitting right at the SMA, or very, very close to it. So that's looking good. Okay, it's kind of hesitating at the support level here, just a little, which also matches up with this SMA over here. It's kind of a support level. So I'm not surprised if it struggles to get through that a little bit. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't bounce off of this one and I miss out on getting out on this trade. I think going down below it another almost point is very reasonable to expect, but I also might possibly raise this up as well. Okay, it's flattened out through there. What's slightly concerning, and I'm trying to keep an eye on it here, is the MACD on the 1-minute chart starting to lose that downward momentum. So that is a little bit concerning and disappointing if it doesn't get any farther down than that. Still not out of the question that it could, but it's possible that it wouldn't as well get below that. So how are we going to handle that situation? Not going to change anything. I'm just going to watch it. If it gets up, yeah, this is a pretty decent spot right there. I don't know that it'll get up above that, and that's not a huge loss. Oh, look at that. It's definitely wanting to go up more than it's wanting to go down. It gets excited about the upward movements more than the downward ones, which is not surprising either. All right. Let's see what it does at that point. I could possibly lower my stop down. Might be a good idea. Maybe just a little. How about like that? So that would be, let's see, that would be about a $250 loss right through there if I get that stopped out. It's already showing signs like it's going to bounce off of that point and drop some more. So this doesn't look terribly good in that regard, but that can always change pretty quickly. I haven't really changed my mind yet about what's going to happen. Oh wow, that happened before I could even punch the button to record that. It just dropped like a rock. And it's only 9:13, so I'm not quite sure what triggered that. But happy, made $300 in that first trade. That's why you want to have stops in place. Wow, interesting. The other thing I noticed I'm missing down here is the news. So let's go ahead and put that on there. Sometimes that helps. Try to figure out what's going on. I don't know that it was any particular piece of information. That was amazing. A little bit breathtaking. So I think I might just sure what to do now. Jumping into another trade I think would definitely be reactionary. Let's see what it does next. All right, it bounced a little bit off of this SMA right through here, which is also the red line, so that would be the SMA of the 1 hour chart. Looks like it's going to bounce off of that point. But yeah, getting into a long right now, I don't think it's a good idea. I was thinking it might be. I was thinking it might bounce off of that blue SMA and then go up, but it dropped down further than I expected it to. All right, now we're looking at the orange here on the 15-minute chart as being another support level. And doesn't look like it wants to go bounce off of that one either. So everything is dropping pretty good. So, getting into a short, is that a good move at this point? Or do we just want to kind of wait and see? I could easily call this a bouncing point right through here, and I think it's just moving a little bit too quickly for my tastes. I think I'll just hold off. I'm gonna go grab me another cup of coffee. All right, you can kind of see that it's made a bounce at that point. And so getting into a long right now might be a good idea. However, I think a better idea would be for it to head up and bounce at this point, hopefully, or this point, 59.16, 59.14, somewhere around there, as long as it's lower than this point right through here, and get into another short. I went out to look to see if there is any reports that are coming out. The Fed might be putting out some sort of reports that would have affected that big of a movement. And the only thing that I'm finding is 10 o'clock today, labor force characteristics of foreign-born workers is coming out, and the state job openings and labor turnover for March is coming out. And those are both at 10 o'clock. Well, no, that's tomorrow, though. So there's nothing at all coming out today. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to say about that one. I did hear last night on the news, there was some piece of information. What was it? Oh yeah, we lost our AAA credit rating as a country. Mosby's, I think it was, or something like that, lowered our credit rating. And so I think that was what the market reacted to last night when we saw that great big drop on Sunday right through here. And so it's been kind of reacting ever since then. And I had been calling for it to be dropping for a while. And so I'm not surprised that it had that much of a reaction. And you know, I do think that it could easily eventually drop down to the bottom of this channel here and still be fine. It might bottom out a little bit sooner, like I said, at this purple line, but it just needed a big piece of news for it to make it do that, and I think that's what that was. So anyway, yep, got to be really cautious because that 1 hour chart is still looking like it could be going up. So again, it's possible that it will hit the purple line and then just fluctuate between these points until it reaches the bottom of the channel. That's another scenario that might happen. All right, I think we want to get into a trade here, but let's just not jump into it. Actually, yeah. I didn't quite get up as far as I was hoping it would. So I think we want to wait a little bit longer. And put in an alert right at this point here. It bings that. I think that might be a better spot to get into. It's got a little bit more to go up. Okay, that was actually a pretty big drop right there. I think I'm going to go ahead and get into another short. Raise that up just above that point. We're getting really close to the opening bell here. 5 minutes. Struggle is it's going to not want to get through this yellow SMA right through here. So we're asking a lot of it actually to have our order in down here, because that's the bottom that it formed over here. The 15-minute chart looks like it could drop pretty easily to that point, but it could just as easily go up. And I'll actually raise that up just a little bit more. Because that doesn't look very good right through there. That I was going to wait till it got up to this level right through here before I got in, and I didn't because of that wick right there. So I think I'll be okay, but it might get up there a little bit further. We shall see. Okay, we'll watch it together. If it drops all the way down to my limit order, that's a $500 trade. I don't really need to make that much. It would be fine if I did, of course, but I'm more concerned about protecting my... Oop, got stopped out. No? Yeah, got stopped out. Okay, well, that decision was made very quickly. And I'm at a loss of 137, which is not too bad. It's unfortunate, but it's very much within my bounds. So, all right, I think it's going to hit this and bounce down, but we'll wait and see what happens. Okay, it went up above it. Big time. Interesting. All right. So it's getting a lot of pushback. Very interesting. So now what? Drop from here? Or is it going to go up further? Or do I want to let it drop and do longs? All right, that looks pretty good for a short actually. So we'll try that. Lower this down too. And this level right through here actually looks like a pretty good exit level. Up. Put a pretty tight stop in there. Just didn't want to lose too much more. Oops. Okay, well, that one didn't go so good. Maybe we'll just sit and watch it for a little while. Okay, I have a plan. I think it's going to get up to this area right through here. Actually, where my limit order isn't too bad. I'll lower it down just a little. Because if you look on the 1 hour chart right through here, it looks like we've made a pretty decent bounce. It's going to hit that as a resistance level right through here. But the MACD is just now touching, and so it going up a little bit further, I don't think is asking a whole lot here. So it is a little bit worrisome. Oh, please don't tell me I made another wrong call. Shoot. Maybe I should have gotten out there after all. This is not looking good. All right, let's get out right there. Hopefully that'll take. All right, just covered my commissions on that one. So I'm not sure. Let's just see if I'm right. We'll just watch it this time and not actually trade on that. Well, it did indeed get up to this point here. We're very, very close to it. Talking 1 more point, 1.5 more points. What is going to happen when it reaches that point? It's going to be very interesting. It may have a drop and allow me to be able to get into a good long position, which according to the 1 hour chart, I don't think is a bad idea. Or it might drop at that point, like I said, and fluctuate between these two areas. That's also a very big potential possibility. And you can see that area right through here. We're talking, let's see, that's 41 points between this area and this. So that is very big trading area, but not like huge trading area. Or is it going to just continue on up and break through that? Interesting. So that trade would have been fine. I was just a little bit freaked out by that red candle that developed. Not sure I want to be in a short right now, as strong of an upward movement as that was. So I think the best call is to wait for it to drop and then get into a long. And that might put us at after 10:30, depending on how quickly it moves. I think that is a trade that I want to make. Here's that article I was talking about. The dollar slips after Moody's US downgrade. So Walmart's raising prices in response to tariffs. Everything looks like it's falling, and yet it's going up. Very interesting. That's where the news is kind of contradictory to what we're actually seeing here. Okay, I have put in a purple line at the peak that it made here the last Friday evening, just as a resistance level that it's way up there, but kind of the next one that I'm seeing. It's a possible destination point because it's kind of broken through all of its SMAs here. So yeah, where is it going? And what's going to be next? It's extremely tempting to get into a short right now because it's so overextended. RSI on the 1 and 5 minute charts look really overbought. And the MACD looks like it's going to drop. Actually, all three of these, even the 15-minute chart's in that position as well. So I guess what I'd said was it was going to drop, wait for it to drop, and then I get into another long. And it may drop down to 59.15. Should be a little bit higher than I've got my alert set at here. Let's go ahead and put that up there. That's 15 points. That's huge. Do I want to trade on that or not? It's pretty uptrending. I don't think I do. Yeah, I don't think that I do, but I think it will drop that far. And then I'll get into a long. All right, try to be patient. This is really amazing. It just keeps plugging on up there. Okay, I think it's ready for a drop. Hasn't actually broken through the 9 SMA even quite yet, but it just has the signs of it. It's just beginning. Still working on this drop. I can't remember when I last looked, but it's a little after 10 now. And it's still fighting it with everything it's got. Hasn't really happened, but still looks like it's imminent. Wow, it pushed up even further. This is just really not a good time to be trading right now because even though we've broken through all our resistance levels, it still wants to push up further, and there's just not a good entry opportunity, and all of the indicators are really, really high. Hate for my first day to be a lost day, but I guess I should have stopped at the 300. It's pretty easy once you've made a good decision to make a fair amount of money. And so I want to be focusing more on just protecting my capital and not losing more than this amount. Definitely not more than I would make in a day, but I haven't made that yet. So I think that this is the max amount that I would allow for today. Pretty darn close. So unless I see a really, really good opportunity, I'm not going to take that trade, even though I do think it's probably going to be dropping down to that point. And it's getting late, and I do have other things to do. So as much as I hate to end the first day on a bad note, I think that's maybe the best call for right now. So, and this is a really long video, I know. So thanks for waiting through it if you made it all the way to the end. And we'll check in tomorrow.